Okay.
I'll go.
See, um, when I answer any interview question, I will first think about what is the skeleton. See, even when you write a project, you will first create a skeleton, right?
Yes.
So in the same way, I will try to create a skeleton in my mind. Okay, first thing I'll answer about code. What are the code that I have? Second thing that I will answer is about the project. Third thing I will answer about orchestrator. Fourth I will answer about logs. Fifth I will answer about documentation. Can you repeat, please? What is the first
Yeah,
one?
first I will concentrate on code. So, what are the best practices I can use while coding?
Mhm,
Like designing my workflow, how many sequences I need in each sequence, what activities should be used,
mhm,
and the code should be easily understandable and readable by
mhm,
others in the team as
mhm,
well. Second thing, I mainly concentrate about the project level.
mhm,
So it is in like how I can decompose the project into modules.
mhm.
Then third, I can think about the orchestrator. So how
So in project you
effectively I
have only one thing about decomposing the or splitting the code into multiple subfiles. Is that it?
start like that. Actually, I can build the project in such a way that it should completely covers all the requirements given by the user,
Okay.
business users.
Okay.
Coming to orchestrator point of view, I can think that whatever the process I have created, those should be run on time, the according to the schedules given by the clients. So I'll create a job and processes when and where required. So I'll take care of proper uh, publishing. While publishing also, before publishing, I can run and debug my file code what I have developed, so that if I can try to maintain zero errors. So after successful completion of debugging, then I can go for publishing of the workflow.
Okay. Let me try to answer it.
Yeah.
Hopefully, I'll be answering it covering with all the points. Okay. Now, so there are many best practices to be followed to make a project to move a project in successfully into production. I'll start from the design phase. We need to have proper documentation created, and we also need to see if all the points or all the process mentioned in the document are clearly available in the code or clearly replicated in the code. We often may see sometimes like if there is any change in middle of the code development, we miss those changes in the documentation part. So we should avoid those, and whatever the changes that we are trying to make, we need to first create a documentation properly first. Once the documentation is approved, then we need to go into the code so that any requirements are properly mentioned, and the mentioned requirements are properly or updated properly with the code. Second thing, do we have do we have coding? So what are the best coding practices that are available in the market or that are available in the community? I will try to follow them. Few of them include naming, but that's not the only thing. We also need to see if there is any exception, if the code is retrying properly as per the business standards. For example, if there is a login and if the login fails, we cannot say all of a sudden that the complete process got failed. The process must or the particular login should retry once or twice as per the understanding. If they are banking applications, we may have some issues like we cannot follow this rule because if it is retried thrice, then applications might log out and people might not be able to log in. So this cannot work in banking applications. If there is a specific log stating that any password entered incorrect for three times, the username gets locked. So in those conditions, instead of trying it three times, we may try for once or twice, and for the third time, instead of trying it, inform to a user stating that that particular login failed. So in this way, we will try to avoid the username logout. Mm, just a second. Oh, can you hear me?
Yes, Rachel.
Okay. We can check with the exception handling with respect to the login modules. And there is a process, and sometimes there can be any scenario like, okay, if the process executes for 10 to 20 steps, and if we have a possibility to continue from 20th step, is the code written in such a way? For example, there is a username to be created, and we need to add few groups. Now, after adding a username, it actually failed. Now, are we checking if the user is already created? And if the user is already created, are we recreating that particular user? Or if you already have a user account already, are you verifying it with the code? And are you adding it with respect to groups? So if you can make these checks instead of retrying or adding the same values again, we can make the code robust so that any duplicate creations can be avoided. Third thing is, are we having proper exception handling mechanisms? Are the business rules handled properly? Are the exception system exceptions handled properly? Since the business rule exceptions are custom created, how are they maintained? Are they maintained at one place? Because if we have all the business rule exceptions at a single Excel file, and whenever there is an exception, if we can have a if you can have a proper understanding of what is the business rule exception with respect to the codes, then it will be easier for us to debug because all the business rule exceptions are mentioned in single place. We will clearly know what are the exceptions that we can get out of the process, and we can also see for system exceptions. And if there are any system exceptions, are proper emails being sent or proper alerts being raised. If an email is triggered, who are the particular stakeholders? Are the stakeholders available in the documentation properly mentioned in the code? And are we mentioning the stakeholder names inside the code as a static fields? Because we try to maintain, or we should maintain, we should avoid all the static fields as much as possible in the code. So all the emails and all the configuration values should be ideally mentioned in the assets, and they should be mapped back. So once they are in the assets, they need the asset name should be given in the config, and the config value should be referred in the code. So in this way, if there is any change required in future, for example, I need to add my email ID, which I don't have it previously. So I need not go into the code and change it. I can directly go into the UiPath orchestrator set and I can directly change them. And from the next execution, it can pick the latest values. And if there are system exceptions, are we having screenshots and how the screenshots are maintained? For example, if a process is triggering thousands of screenshots per day, there can be a memory exception as well. There is only 40 or 50 GB of space that is given for the process. And if it continuously raises exceptions, if there are too many system exceptions, there can be a low memory error that can occur from the OS. So if there is system exception and if there is an email sent, then it's ideally we can delete that particular screenshot after the email is sent. Do we have such code available in that particular in that particular process or not? If if we are having enough space and if it is in a shared folder, then how are we using folder cleanup activity? For example, there can be a process that executed 6 months back, and right now those screenshots are not required. And if we can filter those screenshots and if we can delete them in the first run, every time we check them, then it can be a best scenario. With respect to the deployment, are we having all the assets created in the orchestrator? And do we have any duplicate assets? And is every asset mentioned with a description of what exactly is that particular asset meant and how is it getting used? Now, if there are any duplicate assets, are we removing them or not? Are there any environment specific assets and do we have any dynamic per robot values? How are we utilizing them? So all these things we need to check with respect to the deployment part. And in orchestrator as well as after deployment, we need to see what are the how many executions are getting processed and what are the logs that we are having. And specifically, we cannot see the execution of the bot during the production environment. So all we depend upon is on logs. So are the logs properly mentioned? If the logs are properly mentioned, what are the logs that are lacking, and how can we raise bugs, or we can raise bugs to add more logs to make sure that the process is understandable. Like I cannot write a process stating that there is only two logs, log in and log out, but I avoided all the activities that are available. So that is not a proper logging mechanism. If there is a navigation that's happening, we need to mention the log that this is the navigation that's happening. So if we follow this, then while debugging or while we are while we moved it into production, if there is any exception, we can right away see where that particular exception has triggered. Okay, so with respect to coding and like testing phase, this will be enough.
So much. This is awesome.
So go into each and nook and corner because see whatever points that I have said you or that uh, I told you just now, is it something that I have discussed already or not?
Yeah, you have discussed Vajrang.
Yes.
Uh,
Even in live, like we actually did that code and we have checked it, right?
yes.
So just remember, whatever the questions that we have, you are not going to get other than this 30-day training program that we are connecting. So you're not going to get anything other than this. If you are getting anything other than this, they are just asking you about the new tools and new technologies, or so for example, document understanding or AI machine learning concepts that you may or may not understand. That even a user is not having such projects. They're just asking if you know the concepts or not. But if you are able to answer whatever we learn here, then that should be enough for you. Excuse me.
Sure, sure, sure.
Okay. So let's go. Let's see what are the other things that we have. So, did I answer your question?
Yes, Vajrang. You have answered in a broader way. So I used to think very narrow. So now onwards, I'll try to elaborate my answers.
Elaborate what's there in it. There is 30 minutes or 1 hour of interview sessions that are being conducted. If you can answer only for 1 or 2, less than 10 seconds, then how can you answer for around 30 minutes? Okay.
Yes, correct.
Okay, I
First
see.
secret,
Yeah,
Uh,
tell me.
yeah, first secret is you need to eat the interviewer's time with your introduction.
Correct.
Then you need to take your time for the explanation. Go deep. Eat that time because
So
they will be having 30 minutes only. Within the 30
if you
minutes,
can
you have to take 10 minutes.
if you can answer about 5 to 10 minutes for tell me about yourself, that's when you can understand that okay, I can get this job or I can take this opportunity. Because if you have already spoke for 10 minutes continuously and consistently without repeating the points, whatever you have said, then it means that you might have covered half of the concepts in UiPath. Excuse me. Okay. So I have only one commit request that is from Shivam yesterday. So what about others?
It was done. I got the code was done. I did pull request and I got that. Uh, yeah, I'm working on the code version. I'll be uploading it soon.
Okay. So I would like to say something. I'm sharing my screen. Let me just check it out for you. So today we have 30 more minutes. So by the way, how much time did I answer your question? Is it 5 minutes?
Not 5 minutes, I think 20 minutes.
I don't think so. It can be around 10 minutes. Okay. See, I have written this bug, and the answer was bug fix 2023 and hash 27. Like, there is no other detail. I will work on this and clear the results. What have you done is what you need to mention. Everyone. Okay. Even in here. Okay. And also in the pull request. You need to properly mention all the changes that you made in the code in a pull request. So how can we do that? Can we work on these three bugs for now? Because if we can work on these three bugs and if we can clear them out, our project will be completed.
Sure, Arjun.
Now do it now. Excuse. Add your comments in the bugs. I'll not ask anyone to share the screen. I'll keep my screen open and everyone can see my screen. I will not discuss anything. If you have any query, let's talk about it. I want bugs to be fixed and that to this those need to be fixed immediately. First you need to upstream, get the upstream data, fetch the code into local. Yeah. Yesterday, I was really surprised with the answer. I actually sent to one uh, location and to Vijay. Vijay, why were you checking that location in the GitHub?
Yes, Vajrang, we tried actually, me and Ajita connected, and we checked in this Vajrang BRPA developer in 30 days.
Uh-huh.
And whatever you have mentioned, that path I went, and
No, no.
we got
Pre
the code, but we
prior
are
to
not
that,
able to get from the
mm,
folder actually.
okay. I think you didn't do a fetch upstream. Okay.
So we want to check with you at the end of the class one time. So we have that
See, one
request.
thing, if there is already a code and that's already available and you don't have any fetch upstream available here, okay,
Yes.
then what you can do is you need to go into your fork. See, there are forks, right? Let me take the fork. So, Vijay.
Uh,
STUP. Yes, this one.
Boya Vijay RPA. In the beginning, we have Boya Vijay RPA.
This one.
Yeah.
No, see here. You need to see whether the changes are available or if the path is available in your code first. Because if it is available here, then you can fetch when you're fetching it, you can get it.
Okay.
Excuse me. So, Vajrang, see what are the changes that I have done will be available here. API project. What is the
Okay.
change? 23 hours ago, this is the change. I got all the things. Is that it? We don't or anything else?
Yeah, that's it. After this, we go to GitHub desktop, and there we have to do fetch upstream and pull origin.
First, we need to fetch upstream. Then, in the GitHub desktop, you need to fetch, and then you can see it in local.
The same thing I have done like but I couldn't see the code.
Sorry, same thing you had done.
Yeah, the same thing I have done
Hmm.
in the GitHub. Whatever you have showed that I can see, but
Hmm.
after fixing, but in my local folder, it was not updated by the phone.
Hmm. Then you will see it here, right? In GitHub desktop. If you just click on Show in Explorer, and sorry, and if I'm not able to see or if I'm not able to find any of the folders, for example, yesterday there was a change that is updated by two commits are available. If you get this symbol, it means that there are some changes that you haven't pulled in. Okay, so what are those changes? Excuse me. You can see those changes in here. So this is one change, 236. X-rates projects edit and merge the branch. So, excuse me. I'm sorry. I do have bad throat today. Akash, are you available?
Yes,
Akash.
Vajra. Yes.
So, what is this order supply chain? What are those things? What is this?
That I got it online, created it, and
You have created a purchase order supply chain project for yourself.
yeah, yeah.
Okay. So, but have you completed this FDA project?
Actually, few of the videos I haven't watched, so I need to complete it in one go. So in
Okay.
Saturday, Sunday, I'll cover it and I'll update it.
Okay. So whatever the folders that I have, supply chain folder, I don't have it here because I haven't pulled it yet. So if you can see, I can pull it from the origin. And once I pull it from the origin, I will have changes mentioned here. Okay. So 237 and 236. So Shivam also created few changes. REF, these are the changes that he have created. Pull requests. So there are no pull requests.
Actually, in my GitHub desktop, I have some do your stashed changes. What is that stashed changes? View stashed.
Okay. So stash changes are, for example, if there are some changes made in my code and someone have already made those changes and I committed them, then I can stash and keep it in a separate, like it's like a recycle bin, or you can keep it as a separate location where you can check those changes further. If you want, you can take those changes back. But normally, I do remove all the stash changes because we don't work much on the stash. You can just
Okay.
remove those stash changes. Okay.
I can discard it, right? Those
Yeah, you
changes.
can discard it. So here you can see Shivam FDA. So what we can do is let's go into Shivam folder. So now we have purchase orders. Let's go back. Okay.
Vajran, can I ask one thing?
Tell me.
Yesterday, I did all these things what you have said in previous words. Yesterday, I fetched from the stream and I pulled the request, even fetched. But pull origin was not there yesterday night while we both were trying. But now I can see pull origin with 52 some commits. Now when I have done pull origin, now I'm able to see your code now. But why couldn't see yesterday night? The same process I did yesterday night.
Internet
But I
issue. Sorry, internet issue.
oh,
Okay, if you're not able to see something in GitHub, just close GitHub and open it again. You will be able to see it. Okay. So here we have and main. I will open FTA. Let's open that. But as soon as I open this FTA folder, there will be files created specific to my particular machine. So to avoid them, we need to make few changes. Let's see. With latest Windows 10, there is no refresh option. I'm always trying to make that refresh. Yeah. So when I open this, I can see some changes. I must see some changes. Let's see if you can see it. Okay, there are no more changes yet. Let's see. Let's wait. Meanwhile, you can ask any questions if you have. We have still 10 minutes of the time. Come on, last 2 weeks, we are not going. I am not here to teach you anything. I've taught you whatever I have. Now it's your turn to create those projects and to get those interviews. You don't have any questions? I can be silent. Guys, can you hear me? Hello? Hello everyone, can you hear me? Hello?
No, Vajrang, we can't hear you.
Yes, yes.
Now we can.
What if I cough, then you can hear me? What is this?
Yes, Vajrang. Now you coughed and only. I think you were silent.
This is crazy. Now, can you hear me? My microphone is not working somehow. Device settings. I think you can hear me now, hopefully. Can you?
Yes, Vajra.
Yes, Vajra.
Yes,
Yes.
yes, yes.
Yes,
Thank you.
Vajrang, we can hear you.
For the past 5 minutes, I was talking on mute. Okay. Logs are properly mentioned. Okay. These are the changes that I require from Shivam, or anyone can take it in case. You can copy Shivam's code and you can do that. Okay. So yesterday I have mentioned what the new changes that are available in RE framework. Did you check that video?
You made a new video on that, Vajrang?
I posted
For the
it
changes?
yesterday, right? In the GitHub, or sorry, in the LinkedIn.
Okay, not yet. But you have shown in the video saying process is added to framework folder.
Yeah, that's what I'm talking about.
What's wrong in this project? I have one doubt.
Yeah, tell me.
If you go to process,
Mm-hmm.
we are building the data table here, right?
Correct.
So every time it will build the data table and each one row.
So it will take only one transaction at a time, right?
Yeah.
So when it's taking a new transaction item, it's building, but ideally it should not do it. There is a activity that we can do. Okay, we'll also add that as a bug.
So in the initial initialize application, can we build and pass it as an argument?
Yes, you can. Okay, just a second. Come on, we still have 5, 10 more minutes. What are we discussing?
We were discussing about this only, like the changes, some bugs.
Can we go to add queue process? Acha, I haven't. For this FD.
What's there in AdQ?
Yeah.
Vajram, is this deserialization of JSON also is part of Web API, no? Web API package? Hello? Can anyone hear me?
Yes, Siddha, we are here. I'm able
Oh,
to hear.
okay. Vajram, we can't hear you. Yeah.
Yes, it is a part of package.
Okay. Guys, one more retrieve question. What will be the default packages you will get when you load the UiPath? There are four packages by default: system and Excel, email, and UI.
See, someone asking that question, I don't consider him to be an experienced interviewer.
Okay.
Uh,
Why, Vajran?
why should you know this? Like, what are the default activities? If you
Okay.
already know what are the, excuse me, if you already know what are the default, like, what are the activities that you need to do, you can obviously download all the managed packages. It's good to know, but it's not mandatory. Like, and the latest is someone might ask you what is the version number of it, what is the subversion number of it.
Okay. Okay.
Okay.
Sure.
If we go down here, Vajran,
Okay.
here in do while we are not we are not calling a HTTP request. We have to do that, right? Only we are deserializing, but HTTP request only once we are doing.
Yeah, I asked you to make the change, right?
Okay.
Make the change. If there is a change,
Okay.
okay. Who asked this question?
Glory.
Glory. Glory, share your screen and raise a bug for it, please. Glory, are you sharing your screen?
Yeah. Yeah, I have raised. So,
Okay. See, there are many such issues you can raise. Raise all
okay.
the issues, and others can work on them. Also mention what is the path of that file.
Yeah, sure.
Okay. So I'm closing this session. I am not able to continue further. Okay. If you have any questions, you can stay in the call and discuss. Bye everyone. I'm stopping the recording and I will upload it.